gbnews.com/yoursay. By commenting, you can be part of a live conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
Welcome back, everybody, to a live Friday night studio audience show. If you're not here, why are you not here? Come on, this is where the party is. But I tell you what, the party is not going to be on public transport under the Liberal Democrats. So the Lib Dems this week proposed a ban on people playing music and videos out loud on their phones on public transport. So under these plans, basically passengers, antisocial passengers, could face fines of up to £1,000. So back in 2018, Jeremy Clarkson went viral after taking to social media to vent his frustration at noisy passengers. Oh, sorry, guys, sorry. Sorry, everyone. It's a nightmare, isn't it? Sorry, guys. It just goes off. Anyway, fine me £1,000. So, should we say a big shut up to rude Brits who blast music from their phones or face fines up to £1,000? Who's in favour of fining them £1,000?
Yeah, right.
Whoa, this is interesting. This is interesting. OK, what, would you just let him off then? I mean, I don't know. What are you on this, Christo?
I would actually... I think that's one of the reasons that I've always missed out for bringing back capital punishment.
10 years in prison. 10 years. 10 years in prison.
I think that is what... This is about the social breakdown of society. I am sick of these people. I'm sick of these people not letting me off the train first before they want to get on. I'm sick of them eating smelly, rancid food next to me. I'm sick of them with their loud noises and phones and talking and thinking that they are the centre of absolutely everything. These
and enjoying themselves, having a good life, having fun.
Need to be removed from society. What I will say, slightly perplexing that of everything that's wrong in the world, the Liberal Democrats come up with a policy and it's this. I mean, I will say that. Yeah. But actually, I don't think it goes far enough. Let's execute them.
Right. Rob, your views?
I'd only do 10 years in prison.
Just
10 years. So in France, they already fine you. Someone got a £170 fine. OK. They already do it in France, so that's something we could maybe copy from them. So I have something called misophonia, and misophonia is emotional and physiological reactions to certain sounds. Like people chomping really loudly, or playing their music really loudly on the phone. There's
I have that with Barry's voice.
No. He's not going to come back in this round. We need him. Barry, I'm so sorry.
I need an apology from him and an apology from you now.
You will sue me as well.
They need harsh fines. People don't change unless they get punished. It's antisocial. You can't go anywhere. You get tannoy spam when you get on the train. They hit you for 15 minutes. You can't relax. You can't do your work. You can't have any solitude. They need serious punishment.
Yes.
I'm with you. Capital all the way.
It's gone from 10 years to capital punishment.
This side are very convincing.
Emily, what do you think?
Well, I love this for the Lib Dems. It's just so Lib Dem, isn't it? I mean, this is a symptom of a broader breakdown with society. But no, let's slap the fines on people playing music. I despise it as well. And you are one to take loud phone calls on public transport.
Yeah.
And it drives me round the bed. I get so embarrassed.
I don't realise I've got... I don't realise when I take a phone, I think I'm being really quiet.
Yeah, no.
And actually, the whole camera...
You don't have an indoor voice, actually.
No.
Yes, it's it's blasting it out. But yeah...
don't do it in France, because you'll get fined. You will get fined in France.
I tried to tell people to stop playing their music, and it didn't go down very well. I ended up actually moving in a huff. So, I don't think
66% of women don't feel safe asking a man to quieten down on the phone or turn the music down. So, but there is maybe a wider issue here.
I had to move because his mum wouldn't back me up.
Let's talk about this. Just practically speaking, how on earth do we enforce this? I mean, every single time I get on the London Underground or a train, there seems to be graffiti on the inside of it. So people are actively taking cans of spray paint and desecrating the inside of a train. You know, we also know that, I mean, the crime stats I did on my show last night are absolutely awful. I mean, crime as a whole is up 14% in the year ending December 2024. A lot of that is, of course, knife crime. So I mean, how is anyone going to go up and down the tube and tell someone to... Excuse me there, young balaclavaed chap.
Patrick, I just wonder whether Christo has ever considered that maybe he's not the sort of person who really likes being on public transport. You know, maybe...
I couldn't agree more. I think that's the best point you've made all night.
Private Cadillac, I think, suits you better, right?
If it's pink.
Yeah.
Only if it's pink.
But I just wonder if this is the Liberal Democrats. They seem to have lost their liberality by wanting to clamp down on the noise merchants.
Yeah.
They're calling themselves the defenders of the quiet majority.
Right.
Apparently.
Yeah.
That is true. That is true. Who actually likes it?
Yeah.
Oh, let me listen to Patrick shouting on the train. This is brilliant. I don't have any friends. I'll listen to you talking to yours. No one actually likes it. But no one can speak. No one dares speak up about it.
I would share a quiet carriage with you any day of the week.
let's
I think
do
we'd
it.
be very, very happy. We really would.
I just wonder where this ends, though, practically. So where does it end? You know, so I would be in favour... In fact, I kicked off, which I'm sorry I shouldn't have done, with people talking in the cinema who were sitting next to us.
Oh, yeah, that was
really
dramatic.
wound me up. Really wound. It's not cheap to go to the cinema these days. And you've got some numpties behind having a full-blown conversation. Stay at home and watch Netflix.
Execute
I'm not sure I'd have done that. But, you know, but isn't it? So then is the next step that as well? Do you have police? I suppose it could be job creation. We need to have these people on the tube.
The tube has already banned alcohol, right? I mean, how's that going? Have you ever seen anyone fined for having an open bottle of beer?
Diane Abbott did apologise.
Wouldn't it be better if people just had a bit of courtesy towards each other?
They don't, though, do they, Barry?
They don't. No, but that's the problem. And why is it that we're not teaching kids to be courteous?
Yeah.
To how to behave in public? You know,
It's not just kids.
You're right. It's not just kids, but it starts there, and it starts that the parents don't say, no, you shouldn't do that. You know, that's not the way to behave. You know, how many times were you as a kid, like I certainly was, told, that's not how you behave in public? I mean, never mind in public, it's not how you behave at home, right?
This is only going to get worse, though, because the people who are doing this, they're going to procreate. Then they're going to procreate. So
You can't sterilise them as well, Chris.
Because they'll be executed. So
Yeah, they don't. Once their heads off.
We need to do it for one generation, then there'll be no more people.
I tell you what, if I don't get a few phone calls from management at the end of this show, then anyway, we're all in trouble. Right, OK, I've got loads coming up, including a bit of this.
Privileged to welcome you here very warmly as a colleague, a fellow leader, but also as a friend.
Oh, gosh, how many times do we think he called Ursula von der Leyen a friend yesterday? It was a lot. So it was a massive love-in for the EU yesterday, but would a one-in, one-out European freedom of movement scheme be a betrayal of Brexit? Just as a very quick noise-related thing, did anyone here vote for Brexit? Yes! All right, OK. Did anyone vote Remain?
Yes.
Yeah, good. Right, OK. We've got people. Do you think people who vote for Brexit might be willing to ask a few questions when we come back, or indeed the Remainers as well? So stay tuned.
I hope it doesn't rain.
Don't worry about it.
It'll spoil our holiday.
Relax, we're totally covered.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
The unsettled weather continuing across southeastern parts of Europe. Heavy showers and some frequent lightning here, but mostly settled elsewhere. Showers continuing across parts of Greece, around the Adriatic coastlines. The odd shower also affecting Barcelona, but otherwise much of Spain and Portugal largely settled. Plenty of sunshine and fairly similar across Madeira and Tenerife, though it could be quite breezy here at times, particularly around coasts. And it's across Tenerife where we'll see the best of the sunshine, also the best of the temperatures, with highs of 26 Celsius.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
What is the state of our economy? What is the state of our National Health Service? What is the state of our schools?
What on earth is going on?
Understanding Britain means understanding the state we are in. This is State of the Nation with me, Matt Goodwin, Wednesdays, Thursdays and Fridays from 8 p.m. on GB News.
GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m. 24.2 million people in this country are living in hygiene poverty. That means they are having to daily make a choice between putting food on the table for themselves and their family, paying the rent, paying their bills, and buying the basic everyday essentials we all rely on.
And there must be such a stigma attached to, well, there is, we know that, to hygiene as well, because this isn't talked about. I mean, we're talking here this morning, 1 in 12 British people have to make a decision between eating and washing, but we never hear about that, do we? It's not spoken about.
You're absolutely right. We have, scarily normalised the conversation about food poverty and fuel poverty in this country. And what my charity, the Hygiene Bank, wants to do is to take one step on that road to ending hygiene poverty by abolishing VAT on soap, treating it as the basic staple that we all need every day. It's the first line of defence against illness and disease. Helps to keep us all safe.
And it's a confidence thing as well, isn't it? If people are really struggling, that can affect your confidence and mental health and all the rest of it. But if you also know there's even the slight possibility of not smelling fresh, for example, but I mean that can totally destroy you in a workplace.
Completely, and we hear every day about children who are bullied in school or who are not going to school because their uniform isn't clean or they feel stinky. They're being bullied by their peers. We know that 13% of people living in hygiene poverty have avoided work for exactly that reason. 9% of people have avoided going to a job interview, and that's so wrong because it is trapping you in your difficulties. Hygiene poverty is limiting life chances, it's blocking opportunities, it's stopping people find a way out of the hard times they find themselves in. And the thing that I always remind myself is that we're all actually only one step away from this.
GB News, the People's Channel.
The royal family is an enduring symbol of tradition, unity and pride for Britain. At GB News, we celebrate what makes this country great. In our new Royal Newsletter series, you can join me, Cameron Walker, for Inside the Palace, an exclusive look every week that takes you beyond the gates and brings you the very latest from those at the heart of the monarchy. Never miss a royal moment again. Sign up now. Go to gbnews.com/royal newsletter and get the latest straight to your inbox.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
We're proud to be GB News, the People's Channel. And as you know, we always love to hear your views. Now, there's a new way of getting in touch with us at gbnews.com/yoursay. By commenting, you can be part of a live conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
Welcome back to Patrick Christie's Tonight. It's a lively Friday here, so thanks for joining us both in the studio and at home or on the radio, or wherever you are watching and listening to us. So there are fears tonight of a big Brexit betrayal, with the government reportedly considering a new freedom of movement scheme with the EU, which would allow thousands of young Britons to work and study across Europe. But of course, that comes at a price as a trade-off to that, isn't there? It means that thousands of young Europeans will be able to come here. Yesterday, the Prime Minister welcomed the President of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, to Downing Street. And, I don't know, do we think he wants us to know that she's his friend?
My privilege to welcome you here very warmly as a colleague, a fellow leader, but also as a friend.
Yeah, it's good to meet a friend again and to be here with you. We are friends and we are Europeans. We are very like-minded.
Been a few EU-related topics. There's a potential one-in, one-out scheme when it comes to illegal migrants with the French. We've also, of course, got Rachel Reeves saying, and then denying, saying that it was better to have close ties with the EU than America. And now we've got this with the free movement of people. But before we go to my wonderful studio audience and my panel, I think we should go down the pub, shouldn't we, to find out... Yeah! To find out what Adam Brooks and Big Marcus have to say about all of this.
Good evening, Patrick, and I'm here with Big Marcus, crowd favourite, and we've been discussing the proposed EU mobility scheme for youth workers to come over and work here. I feel like it's a big betrayal of Brexit. I feel like Keir Starmer wants to take us in via the back door. He never respected the working class vote, and obviously he wanted a second referendum. He wants us back in the EU. What are your thoughts?
Well, Adam, what about the British youth? Why don't we get them off their iPads and get them into work? We need the British youth to make Britain great again, not foreign youth. It's a massive betrayal of Brexit. Simple.
Big Marcus says, make Britain great again, and it's our youth that are going to do that, not Europeans.
Adam Brooks and Big Marcus, everybody. And it's Gary, I believe, who's got the microphone in his hand. Gary, what would you like to say?
Hi, good evening, panel. How does the proposed one-in-one youth mobility scheme align with the promises of Brexit? And isn't it reintroducing free movement for some while limited for others, a betrayal of the Brexit mandate?
Good stuff, Gary. Thank you very much. Emily, go to you first on this.
What's going to happen here is that Keir Starmer and Yvette Cooper are going to say, we promised we're not going to take you back into the single market. We're not going to take you back into the customs union, technically, but we're going to do a few of these little negotiations with the European Union and hope people won't notice that actually we're getting closer and closer and closer back into the bloc that people voted to leave. So whether it's on fishing rights, whether it's on food standards, we are going to become rule takers if they continue on in this direction with all this dynamic alignment. And this freedom of movement scheme, I mean, of course it's a total betrayal. People voted against freedom of movement. That was one of the main things in that Brexit vote. So I think Keir Starmer and Ursula von der Leyen, I think they're more than friends. They're definitely coming up with this plan together.
Oh, I wonder where you were going with that for a second.
Not lovers.
Right, I'll tell you what, I'm going to get a pen, I'm going to make a list of apologies that I'm going to have to make at the end of the show, but there we go. Well, it's interesting, because what people maybe aren't picking up on at the moment is that this could end up being the worst of both worlds, because when this country voted to leave, we thought we were going to, reduce migration. We increased migration from the subcontinent and from Africa. We also have now increased illegal migration, and then now if we have a free movement scheme on top of that, good grief. Rob, what's your views on whether or not this is some kind of Brexit betrayal, do you think?
I don't think it is, really. I think everyone's making a bit too much of a song and dance about it. I think it's really good culturally when you're young to go and experience work in other countries. I think it's good for you when you leave. And then also hospitality, I think, will really benefit when we've got people coming in. I think we do need a stronger work ethic in the UK. Don't really think this is anything to do with it. It'll bring in some tax revenue, and as long as it is one in, one out, that's the thing we probably have to be careful of. But I actually think it's really good. And, as a child, when you go and do a sort of like an exchange, a foreign exchange, you grow a lot as a person. And as a young person going in the world to work and going into other countries and other cultures, and when Brexit happened, a lot of good workers left the UK. And there's not a great work ethic here anymore.
Do you really think the Home Office, they were going to be able to manage a one-in, one-out scheme?
Well, that is my...
in a brewery, I mean, seriously.
That is my one scepticism.
It's not going to work.
Well, I mean, anything can work.
I mean, I just don't buy it. They can't, control the borders down south, so I don't really see how this can possibly work.
But, Barry, there's a few stories rolled into one here. I mean, I'm just reading from 3 days ago. Fishermen feeling shafted as they feel sold down the river over reported concessions on fishing quotas. We've got this one-in, one-out with the...
But these are youths.
These are
youths.
These are youths. Yeah. There's a basket of things going on at the moment with the Labour Party that could look a little bit like a Brexit betrayal. Your views?
My views. Look, Rob's run his own business as I have. And one of the things about young people going and working in other countries is that they then develop an affinity with that country, and they're much more likely to then trade when they're in business and to do business with that country. So I think it's actually a very, very smart business move. The more young people go and spend time in other countries, the better from a business point of view, because that boosts trade. I think what Rob said about the way in which young people grow through doing, time abroad, I think that's absolutely right. And this is something, and I accepted the Brexit referendum. I didn't vote for it. I voted for Remain. But when it happened, I accepted that. But it did bring certain problems with it, and that was about the documentation that was needed for goods going back and forwards between us and the rest of the continent. And it did slow down that trade, and it's had an effect on the economy. And I think this is one way of making sure that we reverse some of that slowdown in the economy.
Did you accept the result? Because I've seen here in 2018, Labour's Barry Gardiner, new EU vote would undermine democracy, so good. Yeah. But then in 2019, it says Labour could offer a second referendum.
Yeah, that's right. That was the party's position at the time.
Oh, God, and you'll be a good party. To be fair, Barry Gardiner is nothing if not on brand. I mean, I'd like to have you going into bat for me, actually, because
he's got a blue tie on.
Yeah.
So I'm talking about brand.
So
do you like the tie?
I do.
He told me 2 weeks ago he was fed up of my dull tie and he wanted a bright one.
It's a bit reformy.
You know, well,
no, well, that was the message.
You're a bit laboury. Come on.
Touche. Okay. Chris, I'll bring you in because one of the things that I would be concerned about is I think we need more younger people in Britain to be doing things like apprenticeships. I think we could possibly do with less than going to university and racking up a huge amount of debt, and maybe more people going into practical trades and getting jobs and actually getting on the, getting going in life and start paying tax earlier as well, but also feeling that sense of achievement about like, oh gosh, you know what, I'm 19 and all right, it might be a 10-year-old Vauxhall Corsa, but I bought my own car now because I've got a trade and I've done that. I worry that if we then start having more and more and more young EU nationals coming in, that might mean that fewer Brits can do those trades or want to get involved with them.
Or it might create competition.
It might.
Which is quite healthy.
Could drive down wages, though.
It usually would drive up productivity competition. It doesn't usually drive it down, it usually drives it up.
Then we had a competition with freedom of movement. Now I'm arguing against my own point, but I will say when we had the competition about freedom of movement, that drove down wages massively, and we did not see a massive...
It didn't train anyone.
Now, I voted Remain.
Yep.
Oh, hang on, no, I thought I might burst into flames in this studio once I said that, but actually I'm all right.
We've accepted it.
It didn't happen. And so, of all the Brexit betrayals, easiest trade deal in history, there will be no paperwork, the Northern Ireland will be, not left behind, all of these things. I think that this is the most minuscule of all of them. The fishermen and women were completely betrayed. I think that it is a good thing as long as it is one in, one out. And I take your point that... Emily, this is, that one in, one out does not always work and does not always happen. Yeah. But I think that the idea of someone young being able to go and work abroad and someone young being able to work
fantastic.
here...
I mean, all of the young Brits with all these fantastic European language skills, yes? But why I did a French and German
That's how you learn them, by going there.
I did a French and German degree. No, it takes a long time to learn a language.
You learn it a lot quicker in the country.
More and more people to learn languages, but I think it may well work one way rather than the other.
OK, so, look, we're going to have to knock that one on the head because I'm very, very keen to get your views on this because I think the GB News audience tend to be, pro-monarchy, pro-king and all of that stuff. I was a bit concerned about what he did yesterday when it came to having that letter for Ed Miliband and backing, probably the biggest climate fanatic we've ever had in government, actually. So, is the king in danger of meddling in politics? That's next. Yeah.
Hello there, good evening. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. It's almost the weekend and we can expect some rain and showers at times, particularly on Saturday. Otherwise, there's going to be lots of dry and warm weather. A different story in the northwest, though, turning wet and windy here. And it's also going to be quite a wet end to the week across Northern Ireland. A frontal system moving through here, eventually dragging in some cloud and rain across western parts of Scotland, western parts of Wales and also southwest England. This could be heavy at times, particularly across hilly areas, but it eventually clears away from Northern Ireland, allowing some clear spells to develop. And with light winds, that means we're likely to see some mist and fog. Also across the southeast, we could see some mist and fog, but it should remain largely dry through the course of the night. For the start of the weekend, that does mean it is going to remain rather damp across western parts of Scotland, largely dry to the very far east, but any rain should largely fizzle away through the course of the morning. A much drier start to the day across Northern Ireland, though some mist and fog patches likely in places, and still fairly damp across Wales and parts of southwest England, perhaps the odd shower across central areas too. Across the far southeast, some low cloud, but once again this petering out through the course of the morning, perhaps turning more showery in nature, which means we might see some more bright and sunny spells in between. But for Northern Ireland in particular, a much better day compared to Friday, much drier and much more in the way of sunshine. But elsewhere, it's likely to be a slightly more cloudier picture. But where you see any breaks in that cloud, it is going to feel very warm for the time of year, highs of around 19 degrees Celsius across the far southeast. Now, the second half of the weekend, there's going to be less cloud around, more in the way of sunshine, feeling very warm in that sunshine once again, particularly across the southeast. But a different story across northwest Scotland, turning quite blustery here, cloudy with outbreaks of rain. And into next week, we have high pressure building, lots of sunshine and temperatures improving day by day. So by the time we reach Tuesday and Wednesday, feeling very warm indeed.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country. There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor. Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Is facing another bit of controversy here. So, meddling in politics after he gave support, or it seemed to anyway, for the government's Clean Energy Security Summit yesterday. Speaking at the conference, none other than Energy Secretary Ed Miliband read out a letter from the monarch.
This is the message from King Charles. As we all navigate the transition to cleaner energy for our planet and energy security for our citizens, summits such as these are of vital importance.
OK, a couple of questions. Let's just set the scene first. Who here cares about hitting net zero?
No. Yeah. I would like it to happen in a positive, incentivised way.
OK. Does anyone here like the King?
Yes.
Yes. Right. Do you think that maybe he's got this wrong by writing a letter for Ed Miliband? Yes. Right. OK, well, it's on that point, then, I think we might go to Sarah, who's got the microphone in her hand.
Hello, lovey.
Hello. What would you like to say?
So I do wonder why the King wrote this letter for Ed. Shouldn't the monarchy keep out of politics? And I believe the Queen would be turning in her grave.
OK. So I said yesterday, last night, I don't think the Queen would have done this. So let's see. Who's got strong views on this on the panel?
I think he's wrong because we know what he thinks about this already. That's the problem. And it was not a very general letter, as in, you know, I welcome all of you coming here and talking about things. It was specifically about the transition to cleaner energy for our planet. And because he's, you know, remember when he had nothing to do when he was Prince Charles and he did nothing but write letters to politicians that we all found out about. Because we know what he thinks and how much he is in favour of the environment, I think it's a little too political for him.
I think there's such a difference, isn't there, between King Charles talking about planting more trees or all of us picking up litter at the beach or in our town centres. Net zero is a very contested issue. It's deeply, deeply political, and he shouldn't be stepping into this arena at all. And also Ed Miliband, he's a very controversial cabinet minister at the moment. There's a lot of people out there who think he's going exactly the wrong direction when it comes to his net zero zealotry. King Charles is sort of giving him his, what's the word? Blessing, essentially, yes.
Patrick, I'm really cross with you.
Oh,
actually.
no.
Because you said that you thought Ed Miliband was the most fanatical climate environmental minister we've ever had. Yeah. I thought that was me, right? And you know, I want to reclaim my crown by defending the monarch.
OK.
You say it's controversial to talk about net zero. Every country in the world signed up to the Paris Agreement. Every country in the world. Well, actually, even the US. They're now resiling from it, but that's different. So it's actually not a controversial thing, except within a particular political section of society. It's actually something that has been accepted.
So if I think it's controversial, or at least Ed Miliband's approach to net zero is controversial, what? Am I some kind of nut, Harry?
No,
you're saying, oh, there's this consensus. Well, China's still building power plants with coal.
No, sorry. You mistake.
There's a lot of people out there
what
who believe it is.
The point is, even China has signed up to the principle of net zero.
Come on!
No, not oh, come on.
Come on! China are building coal mines at the rate of knots still.
You know,
coal power
I just
plants.
want to bring Robin.
You consistently say this, but it's actually not true.
Yes, it is true. They are also doing solar panels. They're also doing wind power. They're doing absolutely everything. But they're still doing massive.
And they're doing that because they're coming off.
We're crippling ourselves.
Rob, do you think the King, the King has done some quite controversial things recently. Do you think he's got this one wrong or not?
I don't think it's as bad as everyone's making out. It's just a little kind of good luck letter. And I think that Ed Miliband is just clout chasing. Look at me, got a letter from the King. Clout chase, a bit of brand awareness. Look at me. I think so. If you the letter is there. I read it lots of times. I think it's very generic, and it's almost like do the right thing. Yeah. And I think everyone's just blowing it way out of proportion.
Transition to more sustainable energy.
Yeah, that's just generic.
Navigate the transition to cleaner energy.
We all want that.
Political.
I don't think it is. I think everyone wants cleaner energy. It's just
everybody says that we should manage the transition.
Yeah, this is the most. I bet he didn't even write it. I bet he didn't even write it. His PR team did.
Fossil fuel now.
Of managing that transition is a political process because those are the decisions that need to be made that will affect tax, that will affect people's prosperity. Right. Now, I'm not against the idea of it, but it is political.
We've got to go. I'm being shouted at furiously because yet again I am a nightmare to work with. Coming up at 10 p.m. Absolutely.
Was that on the
banger? It's an absolute banger. Anyway, a hotel firm has received hundreds of millions of pounds for housing elite.
A positive outlook through the night will power through to a bright day ahead. Boxed Home Battery Storage, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello there, good evening. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. It's almost the weekend and we can expect some rain and showers at times, particularly on Saturday. Otherwise, there's going to be lots of dry and warm weather. A different story in the northwest, though, turning wet and windy here. And it's also going to be quite a wet end to the week across Northern Ireland. A frontal system moving through here, eventually dragging in some cloud and rain across western parts of Scotland, western parts of Wales and also southwest England. This could be heavy at times, particularly across hilly areas, but it eventually clears away from Northern Ireland, allowing some clear spells to develop, and with light winds that means we're likely to see some mist and fog. Also across the southeast we could see some mist and fog, but it should remain largely dry through the course of the night. For the start of the weekend, that does mean it is going to remain rather damp across western parts of Scotland, largely dry to the very far east, but any rain should largely fizzle away through the course of the morning. A much drier start to the day across Northern Ireland, though some mist and fog patches likely in places, and still fairly damp across Wales and parts of southwest England, perhaps the odd shower across central areas too. Across the far southeast, some low cloud, but once again this petering out through the course of the morning, perhaps turning more showery in nature, which means we might see some more bright and sunny spells in between. But for Northern Ireland in particular, a much better day compared to Friday, much drier and much more in the way of sunshine, but elsewhere it's likely to be a slightly more cloudier picture. But where you see any breaks in that cloud, it is going to feel very warm for the time of year, highs of around 19 degrees Celsius across the far southeast. Now, the second half of the weekend, there's going to be less cloud around, more in the way of sunshine, feeling very warm in that sunshine once again, particularly across the southeast. But a different story across northwest Scotland, turning quite blustery here, cloudy with outbreaks of rain. And into next week, we have high pressure building, lots of sunshine and temperatures improving day by day. So by the time we reach Tuesday and Wednesday, feeling very warm indeed.
A positive outlook through the night will power through to a bright day ahead. Boxed Home Battery Storage, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Courtesy of Marquis Leisure, you could be driving away with this brand new Elnag Baron 560 motorhome. It comfortably sleeps 4, comes with sky roof, integrated kitchen and bathroom, and is worth over £67,000. And that's not all, as we'll also give you a further £5,000 in tax-free cash to make sure that wherever this motorhome takes you, it takes you there in style. For another chance to win the lot, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB13 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 6th of June. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Headliners on GB News 11 p.m. every night. It's got 3 top comedians going through the next day's newspapers so you don't have to read them, which is great.
That's a good point. He's lying. I mean, maybe he's not lying.
That's Headliners every night from 11 p.m. and 5 a.m. as well on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Very much. Right, OK, well, what a Friday night show we have lined up here. I, of course, have my wonderful panel, where my live studio audience. There's a lot on tonight.
Alongside this, we will set out the process through which local authorities can access the £5 million National Fund to support locally led work on grooming.
Well, those shocking revelations mean that Jess Phillips surely has to go over the grooming gang issue, and the Met Police have been accused again of demonising the British as thugs. Astonishing footage I'll be showing you, plus.
We'll
be talking about this in just a couple of moments' time. £700 million of your money, taxpayers' money, on one migrant hotel company, and... like clockwork. Is this the start of Indian versus Pakistani sectarian violence on the streets of Britain? Could have seen it coming a mile off. Plus... well, what do you think at home about this? Was it right to fine people £1,000 for playing a little bit of music on public transport also? Who here thinks Gen Z are lazy? No? Oh, OK. Do you think they're all right? Are they getting a bad rap? Anyone? Do you think they're getting a bit of a bad... yeah, okay. Well, there we go. It'll be interesting to see what people think about that, because apparently Gen Z are turning down jobs unless it's more than 40 or 50 grand. So there we go. They won't get out of bed for less than that. Anyway, and still with me are my wonderful studio audience. Hello again, everybody. We've got the Labour MP for Brentwest, Barry Gardner. Superstar Emily Carver. Broadcasting royalty Christo Foodpass. We have got businessman and entrepreneur Rob Moore. Get ready, Britain. Get ready, Britain. Here we go.
Hi there, very good evening to you. Let's get you up to date with the latest headlines. The Kremlin says high-level talks between the US and Russia aimed at ending the war in Ukraine were constructive and useful. In Moscow earlier, Donald Trump's special envoy Steve Witkoff and Vladimir Putin discussed the possibility of direct negotiations between Russia and Ukraine. Now, President Zelensky has said Ukraine may be willing to discuss territorial concessions, but only with an unconditional ceasefire. Donald Trump has said he would support Russia keeping the Crimean Peninsula, which was illegally annexed by Russia in 2014. Meanwhile, Russia's accused Ukraine of being involved in a bomb attack in Moscow earlier. A senior officer in the armed forces was killed in the attack. Russia's foreign ministry believes Ukrainian special forces were involved. Water company bosses could be jailed for 2 years if they cover up illegal sewage spills. The government says the threat of tougher sentences in England and Wales will act as a powerful deterrent. And no one has faced a prison sentence since privatisation, despite numerous breaches of the law. All of this comes after a highly critical report from the Public Spending Watchdog, which found the government and regulators have not done enough to increase investment, manage risk, or improve public trust. 3 men have been jailed for more than 100 years between them, almost 100 years between them, for plotting to kill a former cage fighter convicted of Britain's largest cash robbery. Lewis Ahern on the left, his brother Stuart, and Daniel Kelly on the right were each found guilty of conspiracy to murder Paul Allen, who was shot in the neck 6 years ago. Allen himself was convicted in 2009 for his part in Britain's biggest armed robbery, when £54 million in cash was stolen from Securitas in Kent. Much of that's never been recovered. Marks & Spencer says it's stopping taking online orders as it continues to struggle with the fallout from a cyber attack. Problems with its payment systems began last weekend. M&S confirmed on Tuesday it was indeed dealing with a cyber incident. So the website and app has paused orders. That includes clothing and food deliveries, although contact payments, which we started yesterday, are up and running. Doors have closed to members of the public hoping to pay their respects to the body of the Pope. A number of world leaders were amongst the last to arrive in St Peter's Basilica, including the French President Emmanuel Macron, who was there alongside his wife Brigitte. Now it marks the end of 3 days in which Pope Francis's open coffin has been lying in state. The Vatican says around 250,000 people from around the world filed past the late pontiff. And some live pictures here from late night in St Peter's Square in the Vatican ahead of the funeral tomorrow. Now, it will be attended by more than 150 delegations, including 54 heads of state and 12 reigning sovereigns. And Chris Eubank Jr. has missed the weight for Saturday's all-British fight against Conor Benn. He will be fined £375,000. He had 2 attempts to make the weight of 11 stone 6. The middleweight limit for the fight at the Tottenham Stadium. He missed it by less than an ounce. Ben on the scales now, and there he is, who has operated at welterweight for most of his career, came in lighter than expected at 11 stone 2. Now, Eubank and Ben go up against each other 32 years after their fathers met for the WBC and WBO super middleweight titles during a very healthy rivalry in the 1990s. That's it for the moment. I'll be back with more at 11 o'clock.
For the very latest GB News direct to your smartphone, sign up to News Alerts by scanning the QR code or go to gbnews.com/alerts.
Thank you very much for everybody who's made the effort to be here tonight. Thank you to my panel. And if you're not here, why not? You need to make sure your bum's in this seat this time next week. But, wow, is Great Britain turning into the world's rubbish bin? We are the stage now. We are the stage for foreign drama. There's a civil war in Sudan. What happens? Both sides of that civil war come across the channel. I suppose doctor or engineer is the obvious question there, but we've had nearly 10,000 Channel migrants this year. How much money do you think just one migrant hotel firm has received this year? So any guesses? It's in the millions, right? So just one migrant hotel company. Does anyone want to lob a few numbers at me here? Million. 700. 700. You've read the auto cue. There we go. 7. Well done, sir. It's a genius, this man. No, sir. There we are. You know, I tell you what, it's just all up here, isn't it? 700 million quid. That's your money, though. Gang warfare's coming across the channel. They've been arriving this week with stab wounds. And look, hey, do me a favour, all right? They're not being stabbed because of the people traffickers trying to get them here, are they?
Over the past 12 months, according now to the Home Office, through a Freedom of Information request, 8 migrants who arrived from France had to be treated by medics for stab injuries. 5 of those stabbings took place before the migrants even got on the boats. We're told that 3 took place on the boats themselves.
OK, so, just to emphasise how big this problem is, and by the way, take care walking home, guys, because this is a clip of the roundabout just outside this office. Illegal migrant roundabout, we call it, and they are either fleeing war, OK, are they? Yes, but more likely, I think, leaving a rubbish country and bringing their drama to Britain. Do we remember the Eritreans? And look what's happening now. India and Pakistan are fighting, OK? In actual India and Pakistan, though. Right? Now, many people are worried that it could kick off over here, and today, possibly, we saw the start of it. Why is this our problem? Why is any of this our problem? £700 million for one migrant hotel chain. You're paying for that. Both sides of the Sudanese civil war kicking off. The Eritreans fighting each other with massive sticks. Can you imagine what will happen if India and Pakistan do go to war? And one thing that you might notice, ignore this, of course, is that none of this is involving Brits. But it is British police and it's the British taxpayer who has to deal with it. Now, before we go to the audience, before we go to my panel, I just very quickly want to find out what Adam Brooks and Big Marcus down the pub have to say about this. So...
Welcome back to the Free Colts, Patrick. Again, I'm here with crowd favourite Big Marcus, and we're horrified about how much these hotel firms are making from asylum seeker hotels. Look, the audience don't need to know what I think. I've said it many times before. We're being taken for mugs, and it has to stop. Enough is enough. Marcus, what are your thoughts?
Well, clearly it's taking a mickey out of British taxpayers. This is ridiculous. It cannot continue. This is a betrayal of Britain's taxpayers.
And again, one thing I'd like to say is we're all paying for these asylum seekers in the hotels. There's a lot of crime emanating from these hotels, so we're paying to make our streets and our country more unsafe. Things have got to change, Patrick.
Thank you very much to Adam Brooks and Big Marcus down the pub. Always great to hear from them. Let's whiz ourselves over now, all right? So I've got my wonderful panel with me here. Just before I go to the studio audience on this, I'd like to ask Emily, how do you feel about this, especially in light of the fact that we could well be on the brink of more sectarian violence in relation to the India and Pakistan issue?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to tar everyone with the same brush. I mean, I'm sure there are many Indians and many Pakistani heritage people in this country who absolutely do not want to start some kind of conflict on the streets of the UK. But unfortunately, as we saw in Leicester, I think it was in 2022, things can kick off. And yes, with multiculturalism comes these types of issues. If there is a conflict abroad, we'll see it here play out. Unfortunately, sometimes in the form of protest, and sometimes it can get into violence, and I am very worried about it. What on earth we do about it, I have absolutely no idea. Complete failure of integration, complete failure of policy. I don't know. I don't know what we do about it.
Look, it is seriously...
Apart from make sure it doesn't kick off. So policing, I suppose.
Well,
possibly,
yeah.
Can I correct one thing that you said earlier? And that is, you said India and Pakistan are fighting. They're not. India was subject to a terrorist attack launched from Pakistan.
Yeah.
And I think that's a very different thing. Now,
well,
Emily's absolutely right. What we should not see is an importation of that violence into the UK.
Yeah.
OK? So, absolutely agree with Emily on this. And tragically, it's been a flashpoint for that for many years, Kashmir. But let's now go to the point that you made about the 700 million being spent by one firm. I mean, I think it did have about 50 hotels that it was hustles. But 2 years ago, we were spending £9 million a day on over 400 hotels. Today, we have 206 hotels, and the government has just ended the contracts for 51 more. We're now not spending
because we've moved a lot of them into social housing.
We're still spending $5.5 million a day, though, aren't we?
Absolutely, which is much too much. And the reason for that, Rob, the reason for that is that 42,000 people were not processed through the justice system. So that's why they were kept in those hotels. That's why we're speeding up the process of the courts to make sure that we can then deport those who need to be deported and deal with those.
That's because the previous government wanted to keep them here to send them to Rwanda.
Well, no, you know that's not true because they
that was
couldn't.
the plan. I mean,
No,
it didn't work and it didn't.
It wasn't because they only had 400 spaces.
Let's bring the
the hope was that there would be more than 400 spaces.
Okay, I don't
know. It wasn't.
The hope was that there would be.
Sir. What would you like to say?
Well, OK, the question's obviously been brought up already. This company got £700 million from the British government to house asylum seekers. They obviously cost an awful lot of money to look after. But does this mean that the British government is overpaying for a start, and is the British taxpayer bearing the brunt of all that money, basically?
That's a great point, actually, because Rob, I'll bring you in on this. I think if you are a company out there and the government comes knocking, you can charge whatever you want.
Well, I don't think you can blame the hotels if they're getting given the money. If leisure got smashed through lockdown and COVID, and you're a hotel with half-empty rooms, and then you get offered this massive amount of money.
I think you can blame them. There's some people making a hell of a lot of money.
That's why we closed the 50.
Not keeping the hotels.
The government are paying.
Sorry, not everyone.
The government are paying.
Capitalism. It's capitalism.
I'm so sorry, but some people
don't have a go at the hotel for doing it. I don't like it. It doesn't thrill me.
I don't like it either. The government are paying.
What would solve it is the government not needing to pay if they actually stop the boats. That would be what would solve this problem.
The government pay for the PlayStations, the bikes, the cooking.
You're the boss of a hotel chain, and you know full well.
And you've got half-empty rooms because of lockdown.
And you know full well that the people in the community around aren't going to be happy about it. Would you do it?
Well, what are you supposed to do? What are you supposed to do?
Would you do it?
Or you go bust when you got shut down in lockdown. You don't have a choice.
I don't like it. I don't think it's fair.
If the government didn't offer it or didn't pay it, the hotels wouldn't take it.
Yes.
Yes. House them somewhere else.
The government isn't offering it. They are charging that, and that's why
the government are paying.
Wait, and that's why we have just ended the contracts, cancelled the contracts for 51 hotels that were overcharging and that were being unreasonable.
But they're offering it to private landlords instead.
No.
Yes, they are. They are actually offering it to private landlords.
It's an abdication of responsibility from the government.
Sorry.
No,
Again, Christo, get your facts right. They're not offering it. What's happened is we've had a closing down, certainly in London, of all the private sector accommodation long-term.
Not this 700 million.
People now think, I can make more if I charge by the night for temporary accommodation.
But negotiate.
Again, it's
the government are creating the product.
Ripping local councils off. They don't negotiate with government.
Local councils are terrible at spending money. They need to spend money better. They need to police it better.
And they don't have a go at the business people. Have a go at the horrific government, horrific councils, and the fact they are. There are companies out there that are touting for landlords. Do you think at the moment?
Do you think it's right that a landlord should be charging £700 a night for one person?
I think
this is not a four-star hotel, not a luxury Mayfair hotel.
The government are paying it. It's the government that are paying it.
If a council or a government is stupid enough to pay it, then I'm sorry, they really are.
Emily, what just bring you back in on
I just know that there have been most hotel managers who have turned down very juicy offers from the government out of principle. Out of principle.
And that's really good.
Good on them.
And then the others that can't afford to do that or might end up going bust or a half empty or a quarter empty, like many businesses in the UK.
It's taken the 700 million.
You're arguing against capitalism.
Well, it's 51 hotels.
Which is one of the Liberal Democrats' biggest donors. I'm sorry, he's hardly a pauper, is he?
If the money wasn't there from the government, they wouldn't be able to charge it.
Obviously.
So we're talking about the wrong problem. We're blaming the wrong people.
You can talk about two things at the same time.
Yeah,
you can say, as a hotel manager, I wouldn't do that, and you can also say that the government have done things wrong.
Your business goes bankrupt.
So that's not the only option for a business, Christo.
Stop.
Not the only option for a hotel is not
If you're empty and you go bust...
We need to stop because there's one way to sort this out, right? If only we could take some kind of live referendum, right? If only it was an audience show, here we go. Right, so, does anyone here think that these hotels should be refusing the asylum seekers and the thing?
Yeah. In an ideal world, yes.
Right, but do you think that the government is overpaying?
Yes. That's the problem.
Why we're closing down the contract.
They're not mutually exclusive.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They're not mutually exclusive.
And, you know, I'm sorry, but this is the problem with... You are arguing, oh, well, it's a free market, we should be able to charge what we like.
No, I didn't say that. You put words into my mouth. I didn't say the hotels could be able to charge what they like. I said they're going to take what they can get if the government are giving it out. No, it's receiving... or having empty rooms.
The government isn't... The problem here is the government is not setting the
or
rate.
deporting anyone, really.
Yeah,
this is what we need to do. Why are these people in the country? Why are we paying for any of it?
That's why we're speeding up the judicial process. That's why we're closing down the contracts. And that's why...
there's a lot of this is what we're going to do. With Labour, we're going to do this. We're going to do this.
We're doing it.
There was a big
We've
press
done it.
release out today. Did you see it?
No.
Right, the government have deported 43 people today.
Very good.
So there you go. That was the press release.
Excellent.
Well, how many hundred came across the channel? Anyway.
700 million minus 43.
Right, we're gonna rattle on. So GB News contacted Stay Belvedere Hotels apparently, and they have not responded to our inquiry. So maybe we should offer them 700 million quid and see if they come back to us then. But anyway, right, I've got a heck of a lot more coming your way. I'm more keen to see what people make about Gen Z being the laziest people on earth apparently. And as well, interesting one about this, about whether or not Brits are being demonised again, but it is time now for the reason why you all came here, isn't it? Everyone wants a motorhome, don't they? Let's have it.
We're making the Great British Giveaway a getaway with a chance to win our biggest prize to date. You could be the proud owner of this Elneg Baron 560 motorhome, worth over £67,000. Supplied brand new from Marquis Leisure, you could be exploring Great Britain and beyond this summer and making memories to last a lifetime. This motorhome comfortably sleeps 4, has its own kitchen and bathroom spaces, and comes complete with all of the mod cons you'd expect from a vehicle of this calibre. And that's not all, as we'll also give you £5,000 in tax-free cash so you can get started on your next adventure as soon as possible. For another chance to win the lot, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB13 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 6th of June. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
All right, OK, well, this has been a rip-roaring show so far. A little bit too much energy for some people, I think. But anyway, coming up. Can you at home tell me what's going on here, please? Well, the story today is that Gen Z are too work-shy. They are refusing to work. Now, I don't believe that for a moment. So I've come down to do a little bit of voluntary work at the job centre today to find some young people who are work-hungry and ready to get into full-time employment. Well, first one's here. Let's meet him. Come on in. You all right there?
All good, yeah, all good.
Listening to your music, are you?
Yeah, I love it.
Without headphones? Good. OK, well, nice to meet you. So, first things first, qualifications. What are they?
Well, I studied and graduated in underwater basket weaving and tribal dance from the University of Timbuktu.
OK, it says here you want to be an accountant. So, did you do maths?
I did maths. I failed maths, unfortunately, but I did it.
Hey, Good to see you. Take a seat.
Thanks.
So, I think we might as well just start with salary expectations first of all. So.
Yeah, 100 grand.
100 grand?
Yeah, I'm definitely worth it.
For what?
I mean, I need Sweaty Betty leggings, I need avocados, I need skinny flat whites.
Okay.
Yeah, and luxurious holidays.
How many a year?
7.
Right. Okay, third time lucky. So, why don't we start off with things that you can't do? Is there anything you can't do?
Glad you asked, actually. I've made a list.
Of course you have.
So, nothing involves standing up. I hurt my leg on a skiing holiday. I don't like making phone calls. Yeah, my mum books my doctor's appointments. Can't work outdoors. No heavy lifting, bad leg. I am claustrophobic as well, so office cubicle.
Well, I mean, we're indoors now, aren't we?
I have a phobia of being interrupted, so. Computers as well, sort of like, fiddly, so I'm allergic to them. They're out. I am vegan. Surprised I didn't mention it already. I won't work with food.
Any food?
No.
What about, like, salad?
I'm anti-capitalist, so if you make a profit, no.
Any profit?
Yeah.
I'm going to have to be really honest with you. I think it might be quite tricky to find you a job.
You're giving me anxiety! Okay.
All right, we'll leave it there.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
Because
the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes and Kerr weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
You two met, I mean, since we last saw each other, then you two have done Strictly. And,
Yeah.
But the fact that and there's quite an age gap.
51 years.
And yet...
I was granny.
You was granny. But the fact you clearly get on really well and you've stayed in touch and you've developed a real friendship.
We really do. I mean, we live 5 minutes from each other. We speak most days, and Angela had this amazing campaign with Let's Dance, and obviously I was very, very much supporting that. And when you just get on like a house on fire, we just do. We get each other. We have great banter, and like you said, there's 51 years between us, but we feel like we've known each other for 51 years.
You have a particular interest in getting dance back into schools, don't you? I mean, your own experience of this, because your dad is a professional footballer, and you actually won a place, didn't you, into the football academy? It was sort of expected that you were going to be a footballer.
Yes, it was. I was expected to be a football player naturally because I was the eldest son, and Southampton wanted to sign me in the Premier League, and they still are. No, I chose to be a dancer, and it was because my dad and mum sent me to dance classes because I was very hyperactive as a kid. I was pretending to kick a football all the time. They sent me to my next door neighbour's dance school, and the class was called Tango Tots. I somehow ended up being a dancer and had to tell my Geordie dad when I was 12 years old that I wanted to be a dancer.
How did that go down?
It went fine. It's not like the film, not like the film, but it's very, 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 very supportive. And obviously the brother ended up being the football.
But you're very keen to get dance back into schools, aren't you? Tell me why.
I'm so keen because for kids that can't afford it, why not just give them the opportunity to learn to dance? We live in a world today where we're on the phones, we're on TikTok, kids are learning to dance anyway, so why not regulate it and let them learn it in school for free?
GB News, the People's Channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Patrick Christie's tonight with this wonderful live studio audience. Very, very quickly on the topic that we had last time, which was about the illegal migrants. It's just been a point to my attention that the story at the top of the Telegraph today is Keir Starmer to rent homes for Channel migrants, appealing to landlords for more properties to house rising number crossing the Channel in small boats. That's going to be a big topic tomorrow, isn't it? But we move on now because the House of Lords committee was left shocked after finding out that jobless youths who are, quote, on the internet all day will not go out and get a job for less than 40 grand a year, apparently. So the astonishing comments come from Graham Cowley, who works with unemployment and the young as well, especially in Blackpool. So apparently, just under 1 million 18 to 24-year-olds are currently not working or studying. I suppose the point here is, do we think that Gen Z, or whatever they're called, are a bit lazy? Are they a bit work-shy? And we've got a question from our man here on the front row, I believe, here. What would you like to say, sir? What's your name, please?
Hi, Brad. I totally get the point that's being made here today. I understand that, what was said. I think just up front, I think it's massively important and empowering to earn your own money, go out there and earn across and totally contribute to society. It's patriotic, it's what you should do. But I think it's a little unfair to perhaps, in today's society, place all the blame on Gen Z. There is, what are you working for? Pension age keeps going up. You know, your pension becomes less and less every day. It's harder and harder to get mortgages. What do you work for?
Well, yeah, and also, not being funny, but even rent now. I mean, if this Keir Starmer thing happens, then that's going to flood the rental market, isn't it? Young people as well are going to struggle to even rent a place. So it's a good point, sir. Would anyone like to come in on this? I mean, Rob, you...
Yeah, so I think we should stop labelling Gen Z as lazy. There's a whole generation of which you've got lots of different types of people. And actually, I have 100 staff in my company, and we hire lots of young people, and a lot of them are really hungry, and they've had enough, and they don't want to be labelled as lazy. And how are they going to have prospect and opportunity if everyone who's an employer goes, oh, you're Gen Z, you're lazy? They're not lazy. The next thing, though, is 40 grand's not a lot of money anymore. And it sounds like a lot and it should be enough, but it's not. Do you know the effective rate of tax on 40 grand is 48.1% when you add in national insurance, sales tax on the things you buy? The full effective rate is 48.1%.
You're basically making 20 grand, basically.
So you're making half when you add everything in. So it's actually not a lot of money. And then they see all these kids on the internet that are making tens or hundreds of thousands just on content and gaming. Can you really blame them? They're a product of our society.
What I don't like, though, is the idea that instead of, even though all of that is true, and even though what you said on the front row there is absolutely true, I just don't like the idea of them signing on to benefits. I just don't like the idea of...
But you can't if you're not given it, if you're not given the opportunity to sign on.
You say 40k isn't a lot of money anymore, but it's above the average wage. The average entry-level graduate job is around the 30k mark. If it's true that there are kids thinking that they're going to jump into a 40k job straight out of university or straight out of school...
Well, I wouldn't go to university. You get 45 grand in debt.
That is a good question too, but they've got another thing coming if they think. There are very few jobs that will take you with no experience for 40k a year. It's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen, and people need to make sure that their expectations don't completely exceed reality.
Well, one of the reasons why I get a little bit touchy about this, right, is that my first job, I was on a salary of, I think it was 14,750 quid a year. And I had to pay rent and all of this out of it. And I made a decision to just basically try and be an absolute savage and work as long as I possibly could and as hard as I possibly could. And then now things were a lot better, obviously, right? So, and that was... I think I was probably 22. I'm 33 now. So it's coming up to 10 years on that. So I'm a little bit of the mindset of, like, maybe you have to suck it up a bit in your first job, or, you know...
But it's a UK cultural problem that we're not teaching our young kids that.
Yeah, they are being failed. I don't know whether it's necessarily their fault, and I think it's a lot of factors, but I do think that there is an issue with younger people wanting to walk into a job that is the perfect job. I think that they've been lied to about university. There are too many courses that they think, we don't need as many journalists, dare I say, for the number of journalists.
Afraid of the competition, Tristan.
That example. But no, we don't need as many journalists as there are journalism courses.
Yeah.
We don't need as many sort of humanities workers as there are humanities courses. But what we do is we sell them a dream that this is what they're going to walk into.
Yeah.
When I left college, I worked in Vodafone, selling mobile phones. My first job was buttering rolls for my dad's cafe. Do you know what I mean? That's what you had to... Because that's what you had
Were
to
you
do.
good at the phone sales?
I was brilliant at
Yeah, I
phone
thought you would
sales.
be, yeah.
They all staff hated me.
What would you say to this? Because can two things again be true at once? That we do have a disproportionate number of lazy people in Gen Z, but also they've been shafted?
Look, I feel very sorry for young people today because very much what you said. If you think what 40k means, you're a young person, you want to start a family, you want to get a house of your own eventually, and you go along to the bank and you say, hey, I'm earning more than the average wage, I'm earning 40k, and they say 40k, OK, 4 times salary, 160,000, even 4.5 times salary, 180,000. What can you buy with
You're not
that?
buying a shoebox for that.
You're not, certainly not in London and any of our big cities, you can't. So they know it's not on the cards. They know that actually doing what their parents managed to do is not available for them. And exactly what you said, if they go to university, they get all the qualifications, do what their parents tell them. Yeah, we've got straight A's, we've gone to university. You come out with 60,000 quid's worth of debt on top
Yeah, but
of
hang on,
that.
this was Tony Blair 101, wasn't it? Everyone should go to university. He had some kind of ideological obsession with it.
Right.
A massive failure.
Sorry to interrupt, but I've got to go to
sorry.
break in a second. But I do need to introduce very quickly a very special guest to tonight's show, OK?
Oh, my God.
It's the dog. Right? Now, there's a reason for this, and I had a little look at the collar on this, and it's got Christie's on it, right? There we go. It's got Christie's on it. Hello, everyone. Yeah, there we go. It's got Christie's written on it, and then at the back, it says, with thanks, as well, from the dog section. And the gentleman who's, if you don't mind me saying, has just asked the question, there is a relevance to the dog, isn't there? Because of your line of work, I believe. We'll give the microphone, mate.
Just a personal thank you, we three on the front row of prison officers, obviously from a personal point of view. Last week... Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. As I said, we work in the dog section at HMP Woodhill. Just personal point of view, last week when you done the live show, you all unanimously were very generous in your comments and very, very supportive in our role. The whole GB News coverage through the week was, so thank you very much from our point
Well
of view.
done for everything you do. Seriously, all of you. The job that you're asked to do every single day is beyond difficult. It's unimaginable. You don't get enough support for it. So thank you very, very much, everyone. Seriously, well done. Well done. All right, so, OK. Well, we are going to have to rattle on now, I'm afraid. But coming up. So the Met Police, they spot outrage, or did they just get a bit unlucky? After a rioter was decked out in a Union Jack. This was a fake, it was a training exercise, all right? So has this kind of misrepresented Britain? It just plays into the Keir Starmer kind of St George's Day message about the far right. Maybe we'll have a chat about that in a second. Stay tuned.
I forecast a perfect holiday in the sun.
Weather looking good then?
For sure, and no worries about our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
The unsettled weather continuing across southeastern parts of Europe. Heavy showers and some frequent lightning here, but mostly settled elsewhere. Showers continuing across parts of Greece, around the Adriatic coastlines. The odd shower also affecting Barcelona, but otherwise much of Spain and Portugal largely settled. Plenty of sunshine and fairly similar across Madeira and Tenerife, though it could be quite breezy here at times, particularly around coasts. And it's across Tenerife where we'll see the best of the sunshine, also the best of the temperatures, with highs of 26 Celsius.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
The royal family is an enduring symbol of tradition, unity and pride for Britain. At GB News, we celebrate what makes this country great. In our new Royal Newsletter series, you can join me, Cameron Walker, for Inside the Palace, an exclusive look every week that takes you beyond the gates and brings you the very latest from those at the heart of the monarchy. Never miss a royal moment again. Sign up now. Go to gbnews.com/royal newsletter and get the latest straight to your inbox.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more.
Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. That's State of the Nation every Monday and Tuesday at 8 o'clock, only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Everybody, thanks again to my wonderful live studio audience. Top show so far. Now, video footage of a Metropolitan Police training exercise has emerged online. Some people are outraged about this after one of the officers playing the part of a rioter sported a Union Jack flag. Now, the reason why this is so controversial, of course, is really in light of, I think, a lot of the idea that a lot of people who have been kind of quotes-unquote, well, I suppose, what would you say, white British patriots have been demonised as far right recently. I think Keir Starmer as well himself didn't do any favours for this during that St George's Day message where he reiterated again, you know, he brought in all the aftermath of the Southport. Why are you doing that on St George's Day? I will read out, though, what the Met said. They said that it was entirely coincidental that the individual themselves happened to have a Union Jack on their arm and that basically they are actually sick and tired of having to justify themselves to the likes of us. But let's get my panel's views on this. Emily, I can see you seem to be scoffing a bit at what the police had to say there.
Oh, well, I mean, I'd like to think that they're telling the truth and it's coincidental, but it doesn't seem coincidental. It seems like a reenactment of something from the summer riots following what happened in Southport, or a depiction of Whitehall when the far-right hooligans, the football fans come down and have riots. But, I mean, you wouldn't do that with another flag, would you? You wouldn't have, you know, a riot exercise and have the Palestinian flag or, you know, we've had lots of riots, haven't we? The Hare Hill riots, we've had Brixton riots, we've had all types of riots, but I think this is very much a depiction of a certain type of riot.
What do you think? Because again, it does tie into the Keir Starmer thing, doesn't it?
I'm so sick of like this fear of any kind of patriotism or anything that is supposed to be ours. I made a similar point last week. Remember about King Charles and his Easter message for Christians. Oh, but also we'll mention people of the Islamic faith and of the Jewish faith as well, because there can't be anything that's just for Christians. There can't be anything that's just British. We can't display the Union flag, not Union Jack, by the way. I'm going to put it up on that Union flag, because we've got to tie it to the far right. We can't have a prime minister that talks about St George's Day without mentioning the far right. Why can't we just celebrate these things and that be that?
Yeah.
There don't have to be any kind of caveats or appeasement.
OK, I'm going to go to a gentleman who's at the back, I believe. There we are. Hello, it's Rob, isn't it? Rob, what would you like to say on this, my good man?
Right, Patrick, I'm an ex-soldier, and most ex-soldiers are proud to be British. They swear allegiance to the country, and go back a few years ago, many people walked round quite happy like I am, England emblazoned on, nothing controversial, standing for what you believe in. That nowadays gets frowned on. If I went out tonight in a local town area, I'm risking getting arrested or assaulted because I've got my own country emblazoned on here. I'm not doing nothing wrong by that. Absolutely nothing wrong at all. I'm not provoking anybody. I'm standing up for what I believe in.
Do you feel then that because you would wear, like I see, you've got an England emblem on there, that what people might just assume that you're far right? Is that what it is?
No, I swore allegiance to the Queen of this country when I signed up in the army. That was my country. I'm entitled to wear it. I don't decry anybody else doing it. Yeah. So why can't we do it? I'll tell you why. Because Keir Starmer has started this situation now. I'd just like to mention a few things.
Very
quickly.
Yeah,
Keir Starmer reckons that he's patriotic. Has he been patriotic to the farmers, the pensioners, the war heroes, the fishermen, the British businesses which are collapsing underneath it, the voters he's betraying now on Brexit, the grooming guild gangs? It goes on and on. We won't bore with it. What he will do is he'll be patriotic to people we can't speak about, Arsenal Football Club and all the freebies he gets. Right? So as far as I'm concerned, that's what he's doing to this country. He's a disgrace.
All right, well, a point well made, Barry.
I am the Ofcom rebuttal, right?
Well, I hope
so. First of all, can I pay tribute for your service and for your loyalty to the Crown?
Yeah.
Thank you. The next thing I would say, and I would defend Keir Starmer on this, I think everybody would say that he, above all prime ministers that we've had recently, is more often seen with the Union flag than any other prime minister I can remember. But not only that, if you look at what he's now done for soldiers and veterans, okay, improving, and if you served in the army, you will know exactly what's happened with soldiers' accommodation. It has been appalling for years, and we've absolutely refurbished that, put a refurbishment programme of 450,000 homes for soldiers, right? So we're absolutely respecting our veterans, we're absolutely respecting their service, and I pay tribute to you for what you've done.
I just need to say one thing. Pat, can I just ask one question? What about the old veterans who wanted to go visiting on the celebrations? Did they do that for them?
There
was a big controversy because they were taking away the subsidies for them, for the old veterans.
Yeah. One thing that no one's talking about, why are we doing training exercises with about 15 people with shields and one guy going like this? No riots, so one guy with 15 people with shields. That is a ridiculous training exercise. The whole world's looking at that going, let's invade. Like, what?
All right, OK, good points, everyone. I wish we didn't have to take these advert breaks, but then we wouldn't have a job, would we? So there we go. Anyway, a Metropolitan Police spokesperson has said this video shows a public order training exercise at the Metropolitan Police Specialist Training Centre in Gravesend. The scenarios used in the training are entirely fictional. Those participating aren't given any particular political or other affiliation, and the fact that one of the members of staff is wearing a Union flag on their shirt is entirely coincidental, and they say it's disappointing that they keep having to justify themselves for this. Right, coming up. Well, oh yes, good. I forgot about this. We're going to be doing Greatest Britain Union Jackass. So there we are. Get ready to vote, everybody. I'll see you in a second.
Hello there, good evening. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. It's almost the weekend and we can expect some rain and showers at times, particularly on Saturday. Otherwise, there's going to be lots of dry and warm weather. A different story in the northwest, though, turning wet and windy here. And it's also going to be quite a wet end to the week across Northern Ireland. A frontal system moving through here, eventually dragging in some cloud and rain across western parts of Scotland, western parts of Wales and also southwest England. This could be heavy at times, particularly across hilly areas, but it eventually clears away from Northern Ireland, allowing some clear spells to develop, and with light winds that means we're likely to see some mist and fog. Also across the southeast we could see some mist and fog, but it should remain largely dry through the course of the night. For the start of the weekend, that does mean it is going to remain rather damp across western parts of Scotland, largely dry to the very far east, but any rain should largely fizzle away through the course of the morning. A much drier start to the day across Northern Ireland, though some mist and fog patches likely in places, and still fairly damp across Wales and parts of southwest England, perhaps the odd shower across central areas too. Across the far southeast, some low cloud, but once again this petering out through the course of the morning, perhaps turning more showery in nature, which means we might see some more bright and sunny spells in between. But for Northern Ireland in particular, a much better day compared to Friday, much drier and much more in the way of sunshine, but elsewhere it's likely to be a slightly more cloudier picture. But where you see any breaks in that cloud, it is going to feel very warm for the time of year, highs of around 19 degrees Celsius across the far southeast. Now, the second half of the weekend, there's going to be less cloud around, more in the way of sunshine, feeling very warm in that sunshine once again, particularly across the southeast. But a different story across northwest Scotland, turning quite blustery here, cloudy with outbreaks of rain. And into next week, we have high pressure building, lots of sunshine and temperatures improving day by day. So by the time we reach Tuesday and Wednesday, feeling very warm indeed.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much. It's wonderful to have a live studio audience. I'll tell you why, it's been electric this evening. Let's go to Greatest Britain Union Jackass. And I'm going to start with you on the end there, Rob. Could you give us our Greatest Britain of the week, please?
Royal National Lifeboat Institution for all their great work they do apolitically in a very stormy spring we've had.
Oh, OK. That's it.
It does say institution as well as person.
OK.
It's my first time I've done this.
Yeah,
no, that's all I've got to say. They do lots of apolitical work, saving lives every day.
OK, all right, Christo.
Freddie Flintoff, because the documentary that is on, I think it's on Paramount, Disney, it's on Disney, and it is amazing, where he's showing his recovery from that horrific crash he did working for Top Gear, where his face is scarred, he's getting flashbacks, it's horrific, he's a hero.
OK, yeah, I mean, we did. He also absolutely slammed the BBC for it, didn't he? But Emily, go on, who's your Greatest Britain?
A young man called William Newbury, only 22 years old, and he stepped in to save a mother and her newborn baby from a vicious attack from dogs, and he had massive injuries as a result. This happened in Cardiff, so good man, hero.
Good stuff. If only we had some people in the audience who could have handled that dog, you know. The HMP dog handlers on the front there would have been straight in. Barry, who's your Greatest Britain, please?
My Greatest Britain, it's David and Sergio, who are the fathers of Alice and Elsie, two of the murdered girls from Southport, who this weekend will be running the marathon for children's charities.
Very good.
Let's just, by way of screaming, I suppose, really, the RNLI, anyone? Oh. A bit. Freddie Flintoff. OK. Dog Attack Man. And the parents of two of the girls who were sadly murdered. As well, I think there was probably only ever going to be one winner there, wasn't there, with that? But there we go. Union Jackass time now, people. Who's your Union Jackass, Rob?
Well, for this week and for the whole year, Rachel Reeves. I'm sorry, but all these tax hikes, exiling all the millionaires, making business really hard. The list goes on. I know we have to end soon. Rachel Reeves.
Go on, Christo.
OK, because the debate about, what is a woman has rumbled on, I think it's nice to nominate David Lammy. Let's remind ourselves of what he said when he was asked if it's transphobic to say that only a woman can have a cervix.
Go on.
That trans women don't have ovaries, but a cervix, I understand, is something that you can have.
Yes, David Lammy believes that some people who are trans, women who are trans, can grow a cervix. Now, I tried this. I planted some male genitalia in here, and let's see what's going to come out of this bag.
What's going to come out of the...
Nothing. Nothing.
God, he didn't pull a cervix out.
I wonder what was going to come out of that then. All right. OK. Emily, well done, Christo. Emily, who's your Union Jackass, please?
I think I'm going to bash another Labour Cabinet Minister, Ed Miliband, just for being a total buffoon on the international stage this week.
Yeah, fair enough. All right. Barry.
Well, Rob said that it was so hard for business. So my Union Jackass is the FTSE 100 chief executives who this week are reported to have given themselves average rises in their salary of £700,000, meaning that they each earn £6.5 million a year.
OK, all right.
I think they're the jackass.
OK, fair enough, fair enough. I'm just going to ask you to all shout the name of the person who you think should win the Greatest British Union Jackass. Go on, who do you think should win? I'll take the one.
Barry!
One with David Lammy, mostly for that.
Even though we'll see a cloudy start, it'll be a bright outlook for the rest of the day. Boxed Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello there, good evening. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. It's almost the weekend and we can expect some rain and showers at times, particularly on Saturday. Otherwise, there's going to be lots of dry and warm weather. A different story in the northwest, though, turning wet and windy here. And it's also going to be quite a wet end to the week across Northern Ireland. A frontal system moving through here, eventually dragging in some cloud and rain across western parts of Scotland, western parts of Wales and also southwest England. This could be heavy at times, particularly across hilly areas, but it eventually clears away from Northern Ireland, allowing some clear spells to develop, and with light winds that means we're likely to see some mist and fog. Also across the southeast we could see some mist and fog, but it should remain largely dry through the course of the night. For the start of the weekend, that does mean it is going to remain rather damp across western parts of Scotland, largely dry to the very far east, but any rain should largely fizzle away through the course of the morning. A much drier start to the day across Northern Ireland, though some mist and fog patches likely in places, and still fairly damp across Wales and parts of southwest England, perhaps the odd shower across central areas too. Across the far southeast, some low cloud, but once again this petering out through the course of the morning, perhaps turning more showery in nature, which means we might see some more bright and sunny spells in between. But for Northern Ireland in particular, a much better day compared to Friday. Much drier and much more in the way of sunshine. But elsewhere, it's likely to be a slightly more cloudier picture. But where you see any breaks in that cloud, it is going to feel very warm for the time of year. Highs of around 19 degrees Celsius across the far southeast. Now, the second half of the weekend, there's going to be less cloud around, more in the way of sunshine, feeling very warm in that sunshine once again, particularly across the southeast. But a different story across northwest Scotland, turning quite blustery here, cloudy with outbreaks of rain. And into next week, we have high pressure building, lots of sunshine and temperatures improving day by day. So by the time we reach Tuesday and Wednesday, feeling very warm indeed.
Even though we'll see a cloudy start, it'll be a bright outlook for the rest of the day. Boxed Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
courtesy of Marquis Leisure, you could be driving away with this brand new Elnag Baron 560 motorhome. It comfortably sleeps 4, comes with Skyroof, integrated kitchen and bathroom, and is worth over £67,000. And that's not all, as we'll also give you a further £5,000 in tax-free cash to make sure that wherever this motorhome takes you, it takes you there in style. For another chance to win the lot, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus 1 standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB13 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 6th of June. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
GB News Breakfast. Every day from 6 a.m.
Say that Mia Collins joins us in the studio now. Morning, Mia. Really good to meet you. And what's it like for you watching that experience back?
Lots of fond memories. I loved my time in the process, and, you know, TV shopping was definitely one of the big highlights for me. I loved it.
Was it really?
Genuinely, I really, really enjoyed it.
Because I
Such
wonder
good fun.
how much of these challenges and tasks do you come away from thinking, oh, that was awful?
For me personally, there weren't many occasions where I thought, oh God, you know, what I've been able to do now is look back on all 10 episodes, and I'm actually really happy with my performance. So